And we're rolling. All right, so everybody, welcome. This is episode 14. Sometimes I lose count, but kind of goes like that sometimes. So, yeah, we have a friend with us today, Bert Kuhn. Bert is a friend, a colleague. We've known each other. It's funny. He and I go through this all the time. Like when we met, I don't even remember. It's just like you've been a fixture in this community for a long time, and we've shared a lot of competitions, work days, events, chapter meetings, all kinds of different things. So I just want to thank you for coming in. Your drive was like 2 hours, right? Like
yeah, 2 hours.
So that's no small feat. Brick and I and Ben are always grateful. I know James last time drove like 3 hours.
Oh my God, 3.5 hours.
So, that's not lost on us that you're busy. You're running a life, you're wrapping up business and you have a family and people that love you. And to take that time to travel down a couple hours and then spend a couple hours and then drive home a couple hours, people see a podcast and they don't realize all the ones. So thank you for being willing to come down and sit with us and chit chat and explore. And, there's always things when we're done that we feel we wish we said or didn't, but we can always come back. Like that's what we try to tell people. Like this is just for the benefit of those listening as we unpack, in my opinion, a long career, but a storied career, and I'm going a little long here with the intro, but it's just, these are just thoughts that are coming into my head. A lot of us, and I've said this before, and I pick on Mark, and I can now pick on James because I feel like I know him a little bit. Those guys have achieved a lot in terms of world titles and being on that big stage. But a lot of us, and you've competed, at the Worlds and stuff too, which is an amazing feat. A lot of us, myself, I'm speaking about, are grinders, right? I'm 42 years in tree work, and I'm just a guy that goes to work every day, and so we don't always, people don't know us per se. Now I know you've spent a lot of time, and I'm looking at your legend shirt. A lot of people do know you because you're that type of guy. You make relationships with people. So this forum a lot of times is a nice opportunity to get to know people that others do not know, and bring your decades of knowledge, experience, and all the things that make you who you are to the audience, right? So thanks for coming. Again, it's a long-winded way for me to start an intro, but I don't know if you have anything. I know you'd like to kind of welcoming our brother Bert, kind of thing. So
absolutely, what you said was perfect. What I love about you is, yes, there's people that aren't, like, let's say you're not known, but you are a good person with character and integrity. And you could work in this whole career, and this is for the listeners too, and you'll build solid, good relationships. And if you never become a person that's known in the industry, there's still a group of locals that you can influence. And that's just as important as being a world champion, well-known around the industry.
Yeah.
And what I love about you is, for me, is the long story career that you have, you also spend a lot of time making sure that you are available and accessible for people to connect with you, as well as reaching out to them. That's always been something that I look up to. And I love that, because, like, what is the point of anything that we do? Whether it's tree industry, working in the office, regardless of what you do, what is the point of it if you aren't able to connect with the community? And I feel like that's what you have always exemplified for me, and I'm sure for many people. And the way you've done that is to always step outside your comfort zone and continue to learn and grow. So for that, I appreciate that. And just to culminate to come in here onto the podcast to let other people see that light is what I'm really excited about. So I feel like we can dive into how you got in, who you work for, and all that stuff. And that's going to be cool stuff. But I need the listeners to know that is the kind of person that I know you to be. And I'm excited for everybody to have that experience as well. Give me good stuff.
Thank you, guys. And I'm truly humbled by your comments, and all three of us go a long ways back.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Paul, like from your first New Jersey tree climbing competition, I believe I was there.
Mm-hmm.
And we were in the same certified tree expert class. Graduated, in 2001 or
somewhere in there?
Yeah, right around there. And that's when I was kind of through our chapter.
Yep.
Expanding my network of people. That's where I believe Rick Hughes and Dave Parker.
Yep.
Who else was with us? Some other people that, are big players in the New Jersey tree industry. I guess basically, and Brick, you alluded to this as far as I'm a strong person. I'm strong individually. I can fool myself that I don't need people. And that is a fallacy. We are so enriched by networking with others, sharing knowledge, expanding our own skill set and character. You alluded to the fact of like putting yourself out there. That's not easy for me, but I feel like I need to do it to experience true or a more thorough fulfillment. Get outside of yourself, give to others, and I am so thankful that I've been able to become more comfortable and network more and be bold enough to speak. And again, I thank you all so very much for this opportunity. And as we were talking earlier, we have the three of us we have such strong common goals, and it's to advance our profession and ourselves in a positive way. Mm-hmm. And yeah,
it's cool. And it's funny because I was actually going to ask, and you, before I even had a chance, you articulated it beautifully, because it's almost like Jeopardy. Like he answers it, and then I ask the question. Yeah. But the fact is, I was going to ask you what you think the driving force is. Like, what is it that motivates you? Or maybe, let me step back because I'm spinning here. If you were going to tell somebody, hey, engage, step out of your comfort zone, what do you think the reason is that that's important, and what motivated you to do that? In other words, what is it about Bert that you thought, I want to step out and meet people, and I think you to some degree answered that question. But and so are you a naturally shy person? Like, are you a naturally more introverted type of person?
Yes.
And so definitely. Engaging in that way, it took a little more effort for you?
Yeah, totally. And I had to like really put myself out there. And I think it was just the false fear of not being accepted. You're placing yourself vulnerable. I've always wanted everyone to respect and love me, and was maybe unwilling to jeopardize that by coming out of my comfort zone and giving them more of what the real Bert is, or what he is at this point, what he's trying to be.
Yeah, sure.
It's kind of.
I think it's cool. I mean, if I just want to retweet. I think what you're trying to say is we'll get into your career, but do you feel like you can remember when that came up for you? Like, you know what? I've been doing this for X amount of time. I'd like to try to step outside my comfort zone and connect with the community. Do you remember what was the
Catalyst?
Yeah, catalyst. There you go.
Yeah.
That's the-
Yeah, like
do you-
what?
Is there something that triggered
The
that?
catalyst, like as far as for in the tree industry, was ooh, wow. The year had to be right around 2000. And I was an owner operator working 6 days a week, 5 days a week out in the field. 6th day would be sales. And there was a climbing competition right in Basking Ridge, Lord Sterling Park. And it was in my zone. So I was like, I'm going to wheel in there, when I have time. And saw the tree climbing competition. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is incredible. Because I had previously competed, but I took a long absence.
Okay.
And I was in my own bubble. I was always the most experienced man on the crew. So I didn't have a mentor, only knew what I knew, didn't work with other people outside of my group, and was stifled as a result. I went to this comp. I saw footlocking for the first time. I saw throw ball. I saw split tail, and I was like, oh my gosh, I was had great pride in my tree climbing abilities. And I thought I was top of the heap, and there's, I'm better, like I got this, and my eyes were opened. I'm like, you do not know squat,
I love that. That's so awesome. It's so awesome. And it to me, it tends to be a common theme. I shared that on the episode where Brick talked to me last time. And that was my experience. I went to Bartlett. Same thing. I thought I was this and that, and went there, and there's like 9 other guys that are, I'm just like, oh. It just gave me so much perspective, which was a good thing. Yeah.
And then, and just to jump on that, that's, again, this is me personally, because that's a testament to your character too, because even though you saw that, you still had to make a decision to put yourself in there. A decision to admit that you're not at the top of the heap.
Yeah.
Right. And I like I said, I know with people that I connect with, as much as I can, I know like the root, the intangible root of that person. And that's like, you could have easily saw that and then said, yeah, whatever, it's cool. And then you went back to work and stayed in your bubble.
Yeah. Where it was
that
safe
whole time.
and comfortable.
Exactly.
Because to go somewhere and then expose yourself, right? To go and go, okay, it's a bigger fishbowl now. Now I'm in a lake, right?
Yeah.
And there's other people that are doing things I don't even understand.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's awesome.
So I it's weird because you're older than me, but I commend you. Like,
yeah.
I commend you from that day making a decision to put yourself in the bigger fishbowl and to see how you can thrive in there. I do.
And you know what? That instance was a game changer. And okay, I was starting at this point, I believe I was, I was born in 58. So I was like 41, maybe 42. And it breathed life into it made my career like I was learning, a brand new career, like learning footlocking, throw ball techniques, split tail, all things that made the job so much more efficient and easier, however painful when you're at that in the learning process. The other, part of that or ingredient was that, who could not hear about Mark Chisholm? And I was like, I'm a real good climber. I got to see what this guy's all about, right? So, and I've told him this. I said, Mark, you know what? Your family has always challenged all those in the tree industry to advance yourself, to make you a more complete, to learn.
Arborist.
Yeah. So
I'd like to just back up, right? Because you mentioned, born in 58. So you're a few years older than me. You're 66. I'm
just hit full retirement age at 66 and 8 months.
That's awesome.
I love it.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, I love it.
So just, quickly, what was your, I'm just looking for that origin story. Like, how did you get into the tree industry? And maybe just kind of walk me through maybe a little bit, or us through a little bit of your early career. Like, how did tree work find you? How did you find it? And then, if you worked for somebody first, if you just kind of like immediately started kind of like doing things on your own, and if you worked for someone and then transitioned, like what was that like, and maybe around when that happened. So how did you get into tree work?
Immediately after high school, I just barely made it through high school. Not for lack of smarts, but lack of application. School just wasn't for me, and barely made it through, but I did. And then I had a part-time job while I was in high school at a factory in Sterling, and it was a ceramic factory. And we used to call it the Deadly Dust Bowl because it was like incredibly, like we would, kiln fire pieces, and then they would be tooled and ground. And the dust that was generated by this process was just incredible. So, once I graduated from high school, I then started full-time with this same company, knowing it's like, I got nothing else, but this is what I'm doing now. And I met my partner, who remains my partner to this day, Don Murphy, at this factory. And we worked together and became very close friends, and we worked there for a year. And the following spring, he got a job with Tamke Tree Experts. And he's like, oh, Bertie, you will love this. This tree work is just incredible. The guys climbing trees and swinging from tree to tree, and you're outside, and it's, it's physical. It's like, you would love it. So he got me, the opening came up, and they hired me. And, I started a month after he did, and that was in the spring of 1977. And, so that's where
I was 12.
Like
I love it.
That's awesome. Sorry.
I still love it, man. I still love it. I love, because I still am engaged in tree work, and that's not going away, But here was something that I could really challenged, and the growth that lies within, and just the stimulation, the constantly switching up tasks, and the trees are all different. I've always been a person that you can't kind of box in, and trees give us a big arena, right? Like that, just incredible how vast.
Yep.
Yeah. So when you went to Tamke, you like all of that is there for you. Was there somebody that was a mentor, or were they just like hard nosed? Because we were talking 1977, so I'm pretty sure arborist is not the mindset. So you have somebody that kind of
Oh yeah, like we had a head foreman,
yeah, sure.
and but just to let you know how archaic our methods were, we would try not to spike live trees. However, you were limited to, just monkey fisting and throwing your climbing rope over a limb. And this fellow, retired and moved down south. And I asked him years later, I said, Dave, did you ever start using a lanyard? We climbed without lanyards. And I was like, that is insanity, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I learned to basically, we free climbed to the top of the trees. You were in a big, nasty, tree. You're praying every step of the way until you could breathe a sigh of relief and achieve your tie-in point. Now you're secure. I just am so thankful that we've evolved past that now we have to be tied in before we leave the ground.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's wild.
It is.
It's wild.
It's crazy.
And I remember sharing this story with Mark, and Mark said his dad told him one time, he goes, just climb up there. He goes, you can do it. I haven't seen anybody let go yet.
Let's keep it that
That's
way.
an old school mentality right there. I
Let's
love
keep
that.
it that way. Yeah.
So the thing that's spurring a thought with me, how long were you into it? Was it the first couple days? Was it a week? Was it a month in when you went, this is awesome? Was it a short time? Or
I was almost immediate.
Okay.
I was like,
yeah,
this is incredible.
yeah,
It was in an era where, and thankfully most companies have evolved past this, where you were either a ground man or you were a tree climber. Tree climbers got out of the tree and they took their stuff off and, leave the dirty work to the ground guys, and I've always been very, hard, good worker. And it was, I was totally on the ground for the first year. And it wasn't until that second spring that they allowed me to start climbing. And again, always being a good worker and productive, as soon as I started to learn how to climb, they're like, oh, you're doing great. You're good. Here's a couple guys. Here's your truck. You're a foreman now. And I'm like, whoa.
yeah,
Pretty quick.
yeah.
Yeah, as far as the training and preparation, it was kind of very, and this was, Tamke has always been a very stand-up company. It was just the era.
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah. The early stages. Yeah, yeah. So if we fast forward, how long was your tenure there, and what Action Tree, right, is the name of your company?
Action Tree.
What what precipitated that move, and your partner? You guys were working together at Tamke, right? So how long were you guys there before you were like, you know what, let's give this thing a go? What was the trigger that made that happen?
Yeah, about 4.5 years. We actually officially started Action Tree in '82. And we, leading up to that point, we were doing side jobs,
Sure.
buzzies, we call them.
Yeah.
And, we became busier and busier. And then finally we're like, you know what? This is America, like land of opportunity, let's go for it, and we did. And it was real lean at first, starting up.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I was just gonna say, I love, because I didn't know that you said Don Murphy.
yes.
Don Murphy. I didn't know that. I knew you had a partner. I didn't realize that you guys were from the beginning. That's awesome. So when you guys decided to get in it together, did you guys have? And it sounds weird, but like, was there a pact? Like, no matter what happened, we're brothers. I'm never gonna put you in a weird spot. Like, because it's not, for me, it's not that common to hear a company have two owners that have been togetger from the beginning.
It's hard.
It's like a marriage.
I was just gonna say.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
So when you decided to go on your own, was it just natural for you two to be like, I got you, you got me, let's just go?
Yeah, it was basically that. It was just like the love and respect for each other, and
Awesome.
both of us are very loyal and remain committed.
Yeah.
And we've all, like, of course, in any relationship, you can take each other for granted, but trust was never an issue.
Really cool.
Yeah.
That's
we became so busy just grinding it out that it's like, but I always knew, like, Murph was right there with me. And even though, like, he ended up taking a sales role and I stayed, like, in production and working out in the field, because that's what I need to do.
Yes.
And that's what I do to this day.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's good. Yeah. So it was just natural for you two you had that trust. It was right. Yeah, I love
that.
it.
That is the pillar, really, of any relationship, right? Whether you're friends, coworkers, married, the trust is the thing. So when you because I'm always fascinated by the business, that entrepreneurial leap. If there's a listener that's kind of listening to this, I'm sure you went through this, because I know, and still to this day, that entrepreneurial journey is different. Like, you're making payroll and you're trying to satisfy clients and keep equipment on the road. And, a lot of us, there's a book by Michael Gerber called The E-Myth, where he talks about the E-Myth is the entrepreneurial myth, where, like you and like me and like Brick, we're very good technicians at what we do. And so then and plumbers do the same thing, and electricians the same thing. And then we say to ourselves, you know what? I've been doing this long enough for somebody. I'm going to start my own business. And then there's that whole world that opens up to you where you're like, whoa, this is, you start to get busy. You're dealing with scheduling, backlogs, finances, equipment, breakdowns, employees, all that. So if you were going to just, I'm saying to you, hey, Bert, here's Suzanne or Bill, and they just opened their own. Was there a pitfall that hit you, a lesson learned, one or two that you might say to somebody, hey, if you're just starting out, like, what's a bit of advice you might give somebody, like, that comes into your head that you wrestled with maybe early on, or maybe even, and we'll get into later. I do want to discuss, because I know recently you sold your business, right? So I definitely want to explore that a little bit, because somebody listening may be at that phase too. Somebody in this podcast may even be at some point thinking about that. But is there a bit of advice you might give a young person, like pitfalls or lessons learned that were big for you? Like moving from working for someone and doing side work to officially being Action Tree.
Yeah, I think possibly the biggest pitfall is that people, when you look at, say, buzzy money compared to your paycheck from a straight up business, right? It's easy to say, oh, wow, man, we went out and made, $500 a piece today. If we do this 5-6 days a week, we're going to be able to retire by the time we're 40. And it's like, okay, well, it's like, then it's a reality check, right? Like you realize like the true expenses of business. I think in a lot of, it's never been easy to be an entrepreneur and your own business owner. There is a lot behind the scenes that you're not aware of going into it. If you do choose to immerse yourself in this business, know that it will dictate your life, which, it's, people ask me, Bert, what are you? I say, I'm a tree man. I'm a tree climber. That's my adult life has been working the tree business. And I absolutely love it. And I still love it to this day. Yes, I do try to create a balance with especially my family. I'm very devoted family man. My faith is incredibly important to me. And I just, I make room for things. However, when you step from being an employee to an employer, you really live the business. So just be aware of that going in.
Yeah. No, that's true. Very true. The only thing, and I apologize for interrupting because it's beautifully stated, and I think that is an underestimated thing. I love how you said the side money because, you're working for someone. I did the same thing, working for somebody, and I'm getting a paycheck every week. And then Saturdays I'm going out with a buddy, same thing. A lot of it's cash money and right in the account, and you're just like, you're living high on the hog. And then, and then you step out and you're like, okay, now I got to do comp. I got to do insurance. I got to do payments on equipment. I've got to blah, blah, like whatever. And all of a sudden what's left for you is, and the same thing. I love it that you, I love that you mentioned that the business will live you. And I do want to pick one point because how long have you been married? You've been married same?
Yeah, 87, so
okay.
38 years.
Okay, so, and how many kids you got?
Got 2 kids.
2 kids, boy, girl?
My oldest is Hannah,
okay,
who's 34 with 2 beautiful granddaughters.
My man.
Ava, 5, and Ellie, 3.
Yeah.
And, beautiful son-in-law, Dustin, who's an avid outdoorsman. Live in a beautiful region of New York State, up by Seneca Lake. And my son, Hunter, who's 31, who just recently moved back in with us, taking a break from his girl, trying to figure things out. So
it's life. Yeah. But that is and for those listening, just FYI, I mean, that's no small feat. And I'm sure you can attest to this, that we oftentimes as men, as we age, we begin to think about things like legacy and impact. And when I hear a man who's been faithfully married for 38 years, has a business, children, and I just watch your face, the grandchildren light up. That's the biggest legacy we can have, right? Is those generations and the joy in your face when you're mentioning it, and the fact that they're living a good life. And business is business. Business is what it is. It's God's provision and protection for us, right? As we work and labor and reap the rewards of that. but the family, man, you know, and sometimes those decisions aren't easy when you're working. You know, we've talked about this on here before about the roles that our wives, when we were talking with Ray up at Gap Arbor Supply, because Ray's an incredible family man, big family, you know, and he talked glowingly about his wife. There's an opportunity for you, like, what was that like for what is your wife's name?
Jan.
Okay. So what was it like for her, and what role did she play supporting you through the journey kind of thing?
She's incredible. Like, she's my strength. She's so incredibly wise and really keeps me grounded. I can be a very intense person. She can be much more lighthearted. So we balance each other out. She purposely, and that this becomes more and more, sets up like activities outside of work to draw me away from work, because she knows if she just lets me go, I'll just work all the time, and you know,
Yeah.
missing out on a lot of things, you know. So
That's awesome. That's
but
really cool.
yeah, I've been blessed with such an incredible bride, and my family, my extended family, my I come from incredibly beautiful parents, raised 6 kids. Very sad that just last January I lost my youngest sister, and you know, so our family is still kind of reeling from that. And but
Are your parents still around?
my parents, my dad passed in March of 2020, and my mom passed a year later.
Okay.
April of 21. My mom was 90, my
wow.
dad at 89.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you know, like, my dad was in such incredible shape. Like, he ended up succumbing to prostate cancer, but he was just like, I was like, this guy is going to outlive me. He's going to live to 100.
Wow.
You know, and just an incredible, like, human being, like, out there in the community for others. Like, he made others such a priority. And my mom also, they met in Louisiana at LSU. So my mom is from southern Louisiana, Marksville, and we would go down there in the summers. So I'm very close to her side of the family and my dad's extended family.
That's good.
So yeah.
Sounds like they played a major role in shaping you and stuff like that.
Oh, totally. And you know, I kind of pray daily to bring honor to them and what they gave me, and still trying to grasp like all the gifts and that they did give me, and you know, keep because they were incredible humanitarians and really like you know, out there for other people. And the older I get, and you know, yes, like at this juncture in my life, what you call the legacy years, you know, I really like am compelled more and more to like honor them in getting outside of myself and giving to others. And you know, that's you know, just such an incredible, like, intangible rewards are received from doing so, and the Lord tells us to do so.
That's
and
right.
So I'm trying, you know. Yeah,
That's all you
You're
can do.
doing a good job.
Yeah.
Doing a good
thanks,
job.
man.
For sure.
I mean, like Bert there's always a light. I always look forward to seeing you, and I've I know you have bad days. We all have them,
Of course.
right? But like, in my opinion, there's always there's people that are, hey, how you doing? Well, good. And then it's, hey, how you doing? And there's a smile and a hug and a, what's up, brother? Like, it's this uplifting sense of feeling that I get whenever I see Bert somewhere coming or going, we've competed together, we've served together, at comps and different things. And, that's awesome. And I was going to segue into comp. Do you want to ask him any questions about why, where, how,
I mean, we know why.
Yeah,
we found out why when he showed up. I think for the competitive listeners, I'm pretty sure, I don't know what they really want, but like when you got into the competition scene, obviously you see it, you want to emulate it, you want to learn all this stuff so it's easier to do your job and then compete as well. What I get, just maybe just tell your journey, competitive journey. Maybe like, did you just jump in and then just kind of figure it out? Did you put time to train for it? Who did you connect with? Who was a mentor, even though not for work but for the competition? So maybe just tell the story, and then a question might come up from that.
Yeah, well, the story is kind of long because it starts at the beginning of my career. And when we were still at Tamke in I believe it was like late 70s, into the early 80s, they had what was called the Woodsman's Jamboree at Flemington Fairgrounds, which is in Flemington, New Jersey, which is no longer there. And that kind of evolved then into the first tree climb. I believe it was in Homedale Park. And I think this year, I think Steve was telling me last year it was 38 years. So it would have been like 39 years ago in Homedale Park. And
That's awesome.
that was the first competition.
Yeah.
And, so like we would attend these on a yearly basis, find out. I think they were under the veil of the National Arborist Association at that point.
Yeah.
And we became regular attendees, and it was in '86, and they had a work climb tree. And it was actually two trees. It was a large cherry tree with a smaller pin oak next to it. And it was, it was a challenging climb. And the throw ball event, when we got to this site, this was at, I think, Thompson Park in Monmouth County. Mm-hmm. And they had these suspended picture frames up in the, suspended between trees, 30, 40, 50 feet up in the air. And we're like, what is this all about? Well, this is when they started the throw ball. And the throw ball was that big, giant, black, softball
rubber
looking
dip
thing.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And, me and my partner, we were taking it and throwing it like a baseball. We didn't know.
You don't know, yeah, exactly.
But anyway, the tree climb was a tree climb. And I've always considered, okay, the tree climb is really what we do,
Yeah.
So everybody's there to try to win the tree climb. Well, I ended up I know that I won it. There was no doubt in my mind. The fellow who ended up winning, Greg Cutler, he had a 13-minute climb. it was like unlimited time, like you just finish a tree. There wasn't a cap on it.
Mm-hmm.
I did the tree in 6.5 minutes, and but I shimmied the tree. And like, so at the end of the day, when the wars are going on, like I was like, I got my chest puffed up, I'm like, I won the tree climb, and that's all like I'm really worried about. And they're like, first place, I think it was Craig Cutler. Second place, third place, fourth place, fifth place I got fifth place, and I had a flawless climb. And it was Harry Banker, and I went up to Harry Banker. He was like one of the head judges, and I'm like, Harry, how did I not win this? It's beyond me. He goes, oh, well, we felt like that your techniques, your arms could have cramped up or whatever, those 20, 30-foot shimmies, I was like, we do this every day, and that's the way I climb, and my arms didn't cramp up, and, so anyhow, I shelved it, and I was just like, that's it, I'm done with this, and I went back to my bubble, and it wasn't until, like, so from 86 to 2001, I think it was, 15 years, I lost, and there was major like advancements in that period. So here now I came back, and like I said, now it was like starting a second career. It was like a career change almost, like employing these new techniques, the throw line, the foot locking, the split tail, and I was like, this is awesome. And, like for conditioning, it's hard to beat the foot lock,
True.
And, but the efficiencies that you achieved with employing these techniques were just off the charts.
Yeah.
And so then I'm like, you know what? I still got the, it amazes me, like, as your body ages or changes, you find ways to navigate through that. I used to be like 215 pounds. I'm like 165 now. And thankfully, like, that's kind of like, I'm following my dad's footsteps. He became slighter as he aged. It's probably better for a climber, because you're, carrying less weight. So as you lose some physical strength, you pick it up with techniques, and it can really offset things. I really kind of see now in my 60s, it's just like, it gets, not working out in the field, but like in timed events, like a speed climb, like an ascent.
Yeah.
I'll get up there in decent time. You know what I mean? But it's going to be a minute. It's not going to be 20 seconds.
Right.
You know what I mean? But like, once you're up there, now what can you do?
Yeah. Exactly.
So.
Yeah. I've said is my ascents aren't what they used to be, but in the tree, I'm as good or better than I've ever been. My route choice, even like removals, like, Mason and I were talking the other day, and I've talked about this a lot, and I love this subject. I call it gap management, because he's up there and he's learning and he's growing, and he's like, are you upset, that this job took this long? And I was like, listen, my goal today for you was no one got hurt, nothing was broken, and the client was happy. take the time component out of it. And he's like, I didn't stop working. And he was kind of, and I'm like, we're good. Like, we're totally good. And he was, without asking a question, but asking the question of like, and I said, it's not in the work while you're working. It's not that you're slow tying your knots, and it's not that you're slow making your cuts or even your choices. And I saw Ben did a video, and I saw some of the pieces he took off. They weren't tiny. Like, he did a great job, and I'm proud of the effort that he did. I said it's managing the gaps in between. It's in between the moves. I talked to my guy for 2 minutes. I set this up. It took me to move to here. Like, I said, imagine you have 100 moves in a tree, or 200 moves in a tree that you're taking down. Significant tree, all the rigging, maybe 200 moves. If each one takes you 30 seconds longer, that's 50 minutes or 100 minutes, basically, which is it's an hour plus. And I'm like, a lot of guys lose themselves in these little gaps in between of all the little. I was like, what I think is, as you get older, you're so many steps ahead. Not older, experience, time in. I like how you put it. And honestly, there are people that don't have time in that are just very good. So I'm not saying you have to be a certain experience. What I found my personal experience to be, for clarity's sake, is that I've definitely lost the quick twitch. I'm not going to foot lock 40 feet in whatever, 15 seconds or 16 seconds. That's not going to happen. I like what you said. It's going to be a minute.
Yeah.
But once I'm up there, I feel,
watch out, world,
proficiently like I can still get work done. So I like how you said that.
Oh, it's like an artist, like it's just that the time, the speed slows down, but you're still the artist, and you paint your tree, you're a tree mover, you move, so that's not going to change. The speed will change. Does that make sense? Yeah. So with just to get back to the comp part, you get back in, you take in the new techniques, new systems, new everything. This is 2001, you said?
Yeah.
2001. And then with that, the new stuff, did you ever put time to train to get ready for a competition?
Yes, but on a minimal scale.
Yeah, just because of work, business, right?
Yeah, well, I would foot lock, either before or after work. I would, race up a speed climb tree. I always kind of felt like my lateral movement and swinging around in a tree, I had, but, I had several friends telling me, oh, you got to get out and wreck climb. Because now you're in a hole. Like I feel naked if I go up in a tree without a cutting tool, without a chainsaw, without a handsaw. I'm always, that's the purpose for being up there. Yeah. So now you take that out of the equation. Now you can work on your, maybe trying different redirects or different devices, different hitch setups with your, rope wrench, and, really play around and expand beyond what you employ in the everyday workplace.
Yeah. I was explaining to Breck when we did the setup for this year's comp, and you were out there, and I mentioned it in one episode, and I'm like, Bert's got a couple years on me, and to see you on a single line with a rope runner pro, I'm like, I love the example that you're setting as a guy that's been around, and here's the latest technique, like the absolute, like this is a new device, and you're on it.
I'm on it because it's the easiest.
Well, I'm saying, but I love it. I mean, I love that, and it forces it forces an inward look.
Yeah.
You know, which I appreciate.
And you know, a struggle like with the learning curve to learn how to you know, canopy, anchor, switch from a base anchor, you know, redirect. There's a lot to it. And I kind of I didn't have a mentor, so I had to kind of learn these things the hard way and on my own. However, you know, I would push. I was like, if other people can do it, I can do it. And what really the first real game changer was that competition in like 2001 that I witnessed. And then when I would be hearing like in the TCIA magazine articles about this geezer's tree climbing competition. Okay. And I'm like, I'm not going there. I'm no geezer, you know? I still got a lot of go in the tank. And
that's awesome.
Finally, like, I think it was 2016, I went to Geezers. And there was this fellow there, Rich Hattier, awesome arborist.
Yeah.
And I think he was with ISC.
Yeah.
And he did a hands-on walk you through from, you know, the double rope technique to single line and why single line, how it was developed and the advantages and disadvantages versus, you know, double line. And once again, boom, here you go. Like that was a motivator. I'm like, I know I have the climbing skills that these people have. If they can navigate the single line, I can, you know. So here I went, you know, came back from that first comp and at Geezers, and I said, you know, that was the new goal, to like really become proficient with single line.
That's awesome. Geezers now is called Legends, right?
Legends,
it's like they changed the moniker.
Yeah. It was it's Legend of the Geezers.
Oh, that's right. Okay. Yeah.
And listen, I don't consider myself a legend.
Yeah.
Maybe in my own mind.
That's fine. Yeah. No, listen, I always say let other people call you
That's
what
right.
you are.
Correct.
And believe me, you are known as a legend in the tree industry. And I always say, like, just like what you said about your parents and your parents' name, you're honoring that and you're trying to live life to honor it. Same thing when you're being called a legend, it feels weird. It's like, I'm just trying to do the work. Just honor that, you know? But I wanted to say something real quick about so everybody's competition journey is different in the industry. And then what I'm hearing out of yours is there's always been adjustments and adaptation each time you've been exposed to the industry, the competition scene. Meaning, 2000, or just go back to 1987, 86, you have that experience. Then you leave, then you come back in 2001, you have that experience. Then you little by little, and then Legends is the next one. And then what I love hearing about that whole experience, which is what I think the listeners that are new or intermediate, like in the industry, we always try to tell people you gotta come either be a judge or a competitor. Like the competition scene, yes, it's about competing, but there's so much more that's happening in that, right? And you just nailed that. It gives you motivation, energy, insights, ideas, education. And then you can take that back home, work on it, and then that actually helps you with your business or who you work for at the same time. So that's why I love how you told your story, and then I'm hearing the common thread is your longevity is because of that. It's seeing something, being uncomfortable to try to learn that new tip, trick, technique, and then you get good at it, and then there's a new one, and you're like, oh, let me try that one. And sounds like 1977 is when you first went into the tree industry, right?
Yes.
I don't know how many years is that? What is
48.
40, is that 48 years?
Yeah.
Like, dude, we're talking almost 50 years.
Yeah.
There's nothing more impressive than almost 50 years of doing a trade and still doing it with the enthusiasm that you have. And I love that.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, that's what the comps, like with the geezer comp, okay? Like, you know, Mark Chisholm, like he was talking to my wife, he's like, Bert should go down there, he'll clean up, you know, like down at Geezer. So like 2016, what was I, like 58? You know, right around there, I'm like, okay, I'm ready. You know, I want to do this. I should have done it years earlier because it was a motivator for me. Like I didn't get into masters. And then for the next few years, I was like all around it and beating people that beat me the year before. And as all this is happening, it kept increasing in popularity. And, you know, the level of climbers that come to this thing is incredible. Well, a few years back, they started employing different age classes. Mm-hmm. And then I made the masters. And then my initial goal was to make the masters. But I didn't stop there because I'm like, okay, I made the masters. Now I want to, I got into the masters, but I had a hard time with the throw line getting into the tree. So I didn't complete it. And that went on for a couple years. And it was like, now my goal is to successfully complete a master's. And I don't care where I, fall place-wise.
Sure.
And it was 2 years ago because unfortunately, Geezers was the same week that my sister passed last January. And I was so much looking forward to it because Rob Thigpen was going, Mike Teddy, Derek Martin was going to support
those guys, right? Yeah.
And Tucker Chaikin. These guys are all, good friends and really looking forward to hanging out. And so anyway, that didn't happen. But the year before that, I even before I entered the Masters ring, I said, I'm confident I'm going to achieve my goal of completing this Masters. And I've never had this happen in my life. I did the 3 stations, I climbed back up the tree, and I was going out for the one on the opposing side. And I'm looking off from my left shoulder, my peripheral, and it was a limb toss bucket, and the limb kind of took a sweep to the left, and it was in line with my tie-in crotch, and everybody's like, there it is, Bert, you got it. I had a couple minutes left, more than enough time. And I didn't really look at the angle of the swing that I needed to get out on this limb. And my first swing, my fingertips just grazed the limb. And then with each subsequent swing, I got stuck in no man's land. And in retrospect, what I should have done is just clip back on the rope and ran back up there and then disengaged on my swing with the proper angle to lead me out. So I came so close. So the goal is still there. And like, I am now like training and working hard at like almost 67 years old to like complete this, my ultimate goal.
Yeah.
So well, first off, I got to get to the Master Challenge, but then that's my goal.
That's
so,
awesome.
You know, I think that, you know, everything for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like been a continual motivator for me. Mm. So like it keeps me charged up and like, okay, I got something I really want to achieve.
Make sure listeners understand the value of what you're saying and not lose it in the weeds that there's goals. Like the goal, having a goal is huge. And I'm listening to you and the excitement in your voice, and like your pitch comes up and you're planning and plotting and training, and because you have this goal. Mm-hmm. And it's really, I mean, obviously achieving the goal is the goal, right? That's the ultimate prize, is going, okay, I completed the Masters. But a lot of people lose sight, and I don't think you have at all, that it's in the process of chasing the goal, we are becoming something. Mm-hmm. There's a shaping, there's a galvanizing, there's something that's happening in that process. And I also don't, and I don't like to make a big thing about age, especially as I age, because I don't, I never want to use that as an excuse. You're certainly not doing that. I just want to make sure people understand that there are people in life that don't, I mean, at 60, whatever, they're going, I'm kind of whatever, and I'm hanging it up or this or that, and I have no goal, and they wind up on the couch, and it's just, I know you, and hearing you say it is amazing. There's really no slowing down. There's a changing of priorities, right? There's a shifting of goals and the vision for the next few years of your life, as you progress into trying to achieve that goal. But I just think it's super vital. I find myself challenged with certain things. I just hit 60. You're a little bit ahead of me. But it's a goal for me too, to like, you're like, I used to be 215. I'm like, I am 250. Maybe I need to lose 20 pounds. You know what I mean? But I appreciate that about you, and make no mistake about it. Like, maybe listeners, maybe people watching can see it, can sense it, but I can tell you in the room, there's an infectiousness to your excitement. There's a contagion about your passion for the industry and about what you're doing. And so it's affecting me as just another friend sitting here saying, okay, what fears do I need to overcome? And I've had apprehension about competing. I was never great at it. But it's like, geezers, maybe that's, but
something to explore.
Yeah. And I appreciate, I just appreciate more than you can know your willingness to challenge yourself. Can I go back though to one thing?
Absolutely.
And we like to do this. We like to go deep here sometimes.
All the time.
Yeah, there we go.
But it's interesting to me. I'm curious to know. So 82, you compete, and you kind of wasn't a great experience, and you retreated. You retreated back to the bubble, and then it took a period of time to go back. What changed? What made you take a second look? Are you willing to unpack a little bit about, because there had to come a point when you went, there's a comp. This last experience, not good. Now I'm doing it. What changed in that gap?
As far as techniques,
more
like what personal mindset.
Yes. What changed about Bert that took you from retreating to advancing?
I think it was just like coincidental, because I was in that area. I was so we were so sought after and so busy that I was so self-consumed and remaining in that bubble and didn't really, like if there was, I mean, back in those days, what did we have? Like the tree day,
Right. There was
one day
event. Yeah.
that you get together and see other people in the industry.
Yeah.
There wasn't really any like outreach, or you didn't have the web. You didn't have, online tools for learning. You didn't have YouTube. It was what you saw and employed.
Yeah.
And so it was a different era. It was harder. I think it was coincidental, and I think also a thing of ego with being, with hearing Mark Chisholm. And again, I applaud Mark and his family so very much. Laura and Steve Jr. were always so committed to like sharing the knowledge, bringing, people into these, supporting the tree climb community.
Yeah.
Laura, oh my gosh, what a incredible selfless person that gave so much to our industry. And we're all still reeling from that loss. But again, like as we move forward and we take what they gave us, we're honoring that legacy.
Agreed.
And just one of selflessness, one of sharing, one of promoting safe work practices and efficiency, and which leads to success.
So do you think there was a maturation process internally in you that allowed you to go back? You know what I mean? Like you probably had to grapple with some apprehension, right? In other words, like from the 82 experience to then saying to yourself, you know what, I'm entering again. Was there something that changed in you personally?
Totally.
So
and, kind of had to, like, I kind of had to swallow my pride when I pulled into that comp. Like, I mean, a few people knew me, but like nobody really knew me. And, I kind of think about the comps and our, arborist community. And, and I've identified this as like, okay. And my wife has asked me, well, Bert, why is it so important to you to make the Masters? And it's just like, I want people to recognize me, okay? And that recognition or need for such is inherent in all of us. So when we see each other and we applaud their efforts and we're recognizing each other and saying, this guy's awesome, right? To really, that's what, and you talk about passion. I want people to recognize that the passion that I have for this industry and to share that.
Yeah.
So if I'm doing that, I'm a winner.
There you go.
Right?
Yeah.
No, you're right. I think it's a good way to tie it into the concept that, like Paul and I, when we try to figure out what we're going to talk about, like speaking, and one of the things is for me, there's definitely a constant need to, or feel that I need to remind people how beautiful the industry that we're in is. You know what I mean? Like a lot of people are like, it's just a job. And it can be. I understand. I'm not saying everybody has to have the passion for it. But like I do believe that it's a very unique industry in that we have living organisms that we climb, work, help, however you want to look at it. And that requires many disciplines to do that. Right? So you're talking about this passion and to bring it in the trees, and then the idea of being able to share that energy to other people to inspire them. I hope not only in the tree industry, but as an individual too. You know what I mean? Like somebody who's not a tree worker or a tree climber can come to the competition, and that infectious energy that you're talking about, they'll get that by watching you, and then maybe have a conversation with you. And then I would hope that they go home like, man, this guy, like, he's living with purpose.
Yes.
Right? He's not just, oh, I'm here, I got to work all week and then I'm here to beat people and I just go home so I can be the champion. And there's none of that. There's a genuine goal set. There's all these little things in place, but ultimately you are driven by passion, which essentially gives you a purpose, right? And the reason why I'm bringing that up is, like, I've noticed that, like, when you do that, then you start to appreciate the industry, what we do on a daily basis.
Yeah.
And I'm just talking strictly just for being in the trees. Like, we're talking about business owner, and then and then payroll, and then that's a whole different ball game. But there's still this, like, majestic, mystical thing that we're involved with, that I always try to shine a light on so it doesn't get lost.
I'd like to ask you guys, it's kind of interesting because once in a while this pops into my head, just to ask you both a question. So I was having a conversation with one of my guys this morning, and he was sharing that we got 2 college kids working for us for the summer. They're Mason's friends, and
nice.
it's been a great experience for us. I love having them. I love that youthful energy. They definitely bring a youthful energy, which is amazing. They're both really good young kids, Mason's friends. I love it. But my one guy, AB, he was saying to them, if you decide not to go to college or, come out of high school and this and that, he's like, the tree industry is probably one of your best bets because, and we were comparing trades, and quite frankly, I feel a little bit, I don't know what the word is, like the tree industry, arboriculture, as opposed to horticulture or plumbing or electricians or the steam fitters union or this or that. Like, there are all these other trades that are a lot more visible. And, to have, he says, I mean, if you want to take it to that level, you can. But he's like, there's really no, like, almost putting the tree thing, like, it's kind of beneath. And it's hurtful to me. And I know when we talk about what we do, how we do, the interdisciplinary things that we employ in terms of rope access, working aloft, working with tools, we have to know how to work on our tools, just general maintenance of chainsaws and the ropes, rope management, rope wear, lowering devices, friction management, angles, plants, sciences, scale, plant ID, anatomy, where to make the cuts. Like, there's this plethora of depth. And so when I hear someone kind of, well, you could do this with very little education, and I get it to a point. I get what he's saying, like entry into it, maybe, like you're not. And I just curious to get each of your spin on how do we, I don't know if it's fixable, like even horticulture, which is a sister science. And you think of like landscape architecture, landscape design, golf course management, like that's a lot more tangible to people. I guess 2 things really. Why are we invisible? Kind of. And number 2, how do we, because I think each of us here, and this is something that Steve Sr. said, it's a quote from a famous president. Maybe it was, where he says a rising tide floats all boats. Maybe it was Theodore Roosevelt, I think. But that was a mentality that Steve Sr., I think, instilled in his kids, and he and Laura shared, was that this rising tide, they are passionate like we are about the industry. But by instilling that, like those of us that know, and a lot of listeners that are understand what we're saying. And I love how you said you don't need the recognition. And it's not even as much about recognition as like, I so love what we do. I so think that it's awesome and amazing that I would like it to be understood a little more by the public. Is that a fair, like, what do we, is there anything we can do, or do we just kind of keep doing what we're doing? Like, how do we? Am I making sense?
I mean, you definitely make a sense. I mean, I would love to. Do you have anything you want to say with that?
We're really trying to focus on outreach. I always like try to share my passion and like make people realize how incredibly unique our industry is in its challenges, in its growth potential. Like you were mentioning, all the different skills that you need to try to, and you can continue. It's endless.
It is.
It's endless. The other thing that you kind of alluded to, and one thing that a lot of people take for granted, and I believe our society takes trees for granted. Trees are incredible orbs of energy. When we immerse ourselves in the canopy, think of all that incredible energy that is pulsing, and we're right there with it. And we're energized by that. And I know those of us that truly love this industry, what do you, if you've been exposed to tree climbing, what do you want to, do? I got to get in a tree.
Yeah.
And you got to feed that fix.
Yeah.
And that's just like so incredibly empowering that it's really something special.
Yeah.
And I try to like share my enthusiasm to, and we're like strategizing and trying to like get some curriculums in place in, community colleges, high schools, that like this is a very valuable, viable, important trade.
Yeah. Yeah.
And with the buzzword being climate change, trees are a big part of the answer, and it's only our profession is only going to grow as a result of this.
Right. I always wonder why. It seems almost like the Europeans value their trees, their gardens, their like. I don't. I mean, you've been over there, and I'm curious maybe to get your spin, but it seems like they value their tree workers over there more. Like they're held in high esteem over there. I mean, have you guys found this to be the case, or?
100%. The people that I had, the chance to hang out with, overseas.
Yep.
It's definitely approached in a way of. Remember, you said there was an easy entry. Remember,
yes.
Your coworker.
Yeah.
I was kind of, and it's like over there. You don't get to walk in here and start hacking trees. It's not. There is a level of like, listen, this is a respected trade with a living organism. Like I think that's the key point. It's like this isn't an object. This is not scaffolding of wood. This is not an old building that you need to take apart. Like this is a living, like that's what you're talking about, the energy. You're in this living organism. So it is entirely held to a higher standard. In Switzerland, Germany, in that area, the people I got to hang out with, it's taken to a level of higher standard. I think that's the best way to put it. Like this is like, you want to get into this, you're going to have to do the hard work study-wise before you even, get to... Now,
make a cut, like on a tree.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. But, I mean, don't get me wrong. They still have the same problems as, like, Joe Schmo and Jane just grab a chainsaw in a truck and then go. They still have the same problem, but they're trying to have the standards high enough to get everybody in that direction, I just wanted to say something to add to your question and how you beautifully added everything to that. He's like, I just saw it maybe a couple months ago, but there's like a post, and in the post you see a picture of space, a meteorite in space, right? And it says, and I'm going to butcher the words, but more or less just saying that on Earth, wood is everywhere. Trees are everywhere. Like it's value. There really isn't any value. But in space, you can't find it. So it's like the most valuable thing because you can't get there. There is no wood,
Yeah.
right?
Who would have thought?
So what it does is like if you flip that, I hate to say this, but I do believe in this, that the only way that our profession really gets to the level of like people being like, dude, I need you to come to my house and take care of my trees is when to your point, when trees start having a real threat against them. Whatever that threat is, but the idea is that when we're losing enough to the point that it's affecting human beings breathing, is when people are going to be like, your profession has a higher standard now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I hate to think that way, but like it's so plentiful that you drive down the road, people are like, so what? You climbed a tree and you cut some branches off.
Yeah.
But the three of us are talking like, do you understand what happened when we're in it? And we're getting charged by the tree. We're connected to the university, angled, and the limbs are flowing. The glass greenhouse didn't get broken. Homeowners happy. The home company's getting paid. People get to sleep at night. There's so much happening in this experience.
Yeah.
But for everybody else driving down the road, there's trees everywhere. So it's just kind of like, yeah, whatever. But when there's like, for example, if you get called, I'm just scenario hypothetical, a 400-year-old tree in a cemetery near house, one dead limb, we know we're gonna approach how we work with that 400-year-old tree based on the idea that we're not trying to damage it, we're trying to help it live even longer.
Yep.
And it just changes the whole perspective. But everybody that drives down the road knows about the 400-year-old tree in the cemetery because it has
It's a status. There's an aura.
It has a significance to it. So then people appreciate it then. And that's why I say, like, when all trees are considered that way, that's when the value of the industry gets to, for lack of better words, the respect that of what we're doing now. And I think, the one last thing to tie it up, that's for the listeners, when we keep talking about the Chisholm family, the reason why we talk about the Chisholm family is in New Jersey, they're the family that have devoted themselves to the industry of lifting the standard as high as possible and inspiring people to uphold that standard as well, if not make it higher if it's possible. So the reason why that's important too is like we are sitting here more or less because they pioneered the way to get people to start thinking differently as opposed to hacking trees in a pickup truck and staying that way for 50 years.
Yeah.
That's my pedestal.
Well said. Well said. Yeah.
No, I love it. It's funny. I was talking to Mason the other day. I was like, how cool. Oh, I know what it was. We did some injection work. The window for scorch treatment is longer this year because of how wet it's been. And we had an early cool spring earlier in the year. So they're still, the trees are still taking up so we had a tree over at this old Quaker meeting house and big tree. It's 50-inch diameter red oak. Nice. It's got some problems, but we've done some cleaning on it, some very, very minor handsaw style retrenchment work. I'm on some dyeing tips, and now it's been treated for scorch for the last 2 years. Anyway. So I was talking to Mason about like when he hooked up the pressure system and put the stuff in and within 20 minutes all the material was up in the tree. And I said to Mason, I was like, on a day in the spring when leaves are expanding or maybe they just fully expanded, the ground is wet, how cool would it be to be able to see the flow of water? And I was like, do you understand that the negative and positive ions line up in the water molecules? It's called transpirational pull, and that's what pulls the molecule ahead, pulls the one behind it, and the photosynthesis is happening, and the guard cells in the leaves are opening and burping out as a result of photosynthesis, the molecule, and the water vapor is a result of that process. And that molecule of vapor is leaving the tree and it's pulling the one behind it, and that elasticity runs all the way into the soil. There's a column of water. I was like,
incredible.
How cool would it be to like see that visually? Like either you'd have to eat a lot of mushrooms or something, or like infrared.
I'll do one better. Have you seen the movie Avatar?
Oh yeah. And they
have you seen it?
No,
dude. If you get a chance, it's check it out. I don't want to ruin it for you. It's that good, but what he just talked about is that.
Yeah. So, but
So,
and that's what I'm saying. Like, how cool, like, is that whole, you know, and here we are kind of like working on these things, and,
Yep.
you know, it's kind of funny, and I'm going to make a really odd connection here, but it's like you have big problems, and so macro and the micro. And the macro issue is the trade, you know, being respected, being understood, you know, raising the level. The micro is how we affect sort of our environment. And I do this with, like, people talk about like race relations or whatever. And I'm like, there's the macro, there's the big problem, but then there's how I deal with people one-to-one. I carry the message. So like with the tree thing, on the micro, what I try to do is, you know, with humans, treat them one-to-one, right? Be a good person, reflect Jesus in my life, you know, bring joy and light and peace and whatever. On the tree thing, it's the clients. It's trying to educate. It's trying to bring the knowledge and understanding, and not, you know, the client says, you know, my neighbor's trees and I just want to go all the way up the fence line. And you're talking about cuts in trees like this, and I don't want this stuff, and having those conversations, and, you know, trying to educate people, you know, through our emails that we do and different things. So I think I love what you say, and I don't want the listeners to miss that. Carrying that passion, person to person, one to one, that's what you do. That's how you fulfill that role. The macro almost takes care of itself as a result, right? Building those relationships one to one, talking about it, and then serving where you can. And you know, that's something we can talk about off recording. But, you know, I've done some talks at my school, you know, with guidance counselors, and they're like, oh, we have a few kids that, you know, you could do a little thing in the science program where you do maybe a 2-week thing in the middle of the semester or this or that. And I kind of dropped the ball on that in the past because of just the pressure of business.
Sure.
All of a sudden I lose help. Now I don't have the flexibility. I got to go out and earn. But afterwards, I'd love to connect, because it sounds like if the chapter is going to do stuff like that, like, I want in, because I'm passionate about young people and about the industry. So that's something we can talk about. But.
Yeah, it's untapped. You know, we really just such an incredible profession. You know, it's served us. Like, here I am, like, at the twilight of my career, and still fired up about it. And I'll always be a tree man. I can never, you know, just becomes ingrained in your being. And right.
Yeah. So, and I want to honor your time. I know you have we had about 2 hours. We got, you know, maybe 20, 25 minutes. So I do want to, and I don't know if you have anything specific, but I was going to ask him about, you know, we have all kinds of listeners, and the thing is the aging arborist, and we're very careful to say this doesn't mean, you know, all us old guys, you know, whatever. If you're 20, you are aging. And, you know, a 20-year-old like my son isn't thinking about being 40 or 50, okay? But someone listening may be 35. Maybe their role is changing. They're a climber and they want to do some sales. We talked to Mike Tatey about that, and how for a while he stepped back from the climbing, and it hurt him because he's a climber, right? Like, there's that physical exertion component that was important to him. So as you contemplate, you know, you recently sold your business. Are you still working with Bartlett?
Yes.
You sold to Bartlett and you're working with them. You're going out and you're in production?
Yes.
Okay. And you're doing a few days a week still, kind of?
Yeah, 3 days a week.
Okay.
And I really I enjoy it because I'm able to teach, you know.
Okay.
And that's kind of like, that's new for me.
Yep.
So I have a lot of such a depth of experiences, and I know the physical movements. I know the ergonomics and the efficiencies, like, so I can really, help people in that fashion and allow those experiences to really like streamline another person's progression, save them a lot of time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just curiosity, like what went into the decision, I guess, a little bit. It's not as important. There's two parts. One is what went into the decision, because, I'm getting to that point of like 5 years, like where do I want to be? Right. So these are conversations people have with themselves all the time. So like I said, you're a few years ahead and it's like, oh, Bert sold his business. I was like, oh, okay. I better really take a look at what I'm doing, like the next few years. So what led to the decision to go, okay, you know what? From a business standpoint, I'm going to transition out of ownership. And then maybe what's your commitment with Bartlett? You have to do a couple years helping them out kind of thing to facilitate the transition?
That wasn't a requirement.
Oh, okay.
I can cease employment or, stop working for them at any point.
Awesome.
I do have a vested interest because we do get royalties.
Sure.
Once we exceed a certain threshold of sales with our clientele.
Yep.
Because basically all they purchase from me and my partner was our business name and our telephone numbers and our clientele list. So I have a vested interest in that. And my employees went with Bartlett. I wanted to, lead by example. That's my leadership style. That, listen, this is a good job. I'm willing to work with these people to make sure my customers were being served well.
Yeah.
And to, pump the amount of work that we do up.
Yep.
Because that's going to be dollars down the road. So, I really, Bartlett is really all about, yes, we do cut down some trees. However, they're more focused on preservation.
Yep.
And that's, as I get, I've slammed so many trees in my career, and I've constantly, talking people out of taking trees down.
Yep.
There's so much of a need for warranted, dead and hazardous tree removals. We need trees. So why are you going to, just because you don't, trees are dirty, sorry, you got the wrong person. I'm not going to cut your trees down.
Yeah.
I love trees. I love pruning trees. Pruning trees is harder than removing trees. Once you master like the, rigging and cutting techniques, which, so like that's why a big factor with going with Bartlett,
Yeah. No, that's awesome. So as you think about the next few years, like if you decide to, do you think eventually you'll step away from working with them? Or are you going to, next couple of years, you're going to hang in? Like, what I'm trying to get is like, as you get some time back, because the time commitment, owning your business is, I know, so much different. So as you enjoy a buyback of a little bit of your time, what do you think is like, what's next? What do you hope to do, as say maybe like if you were going to set a goal for the next, let's even just say 3 years, what impact would you like to have? How would you like to work towards some of the personal goals you have over the next, say, 3 years,
Yeah, I want to learn how to not work all the time. Learn how to enjoy life.
Yeah.
Share more with my family and friends, and experience things other than tree work. I tell people you can't go from 90 to 0. So like I'm in a that transitory stage, working this 3 days a week. And I kind of do some other work for neighbors and friends that, you know, I'll be off to doing a tree this afternoon. But I'm not like mandatory 6 days a week. So I kind of a mandatory 3 days a week, and the other 3 are on me.
Yeah.
And it's like so much in life, it's all up here, and it's what we, you know, how we allow our thoughts to dictate or guide us, or how we're led by them, and you know, so I'm really trying to, like, you know, pull back a little. But you know what? I still am an efficient climber, and I love climbing. And it absolutely, you know, I've always been a physical, athletic type, hands-on guy. That I'm not going to be able to stop. If I stop working, I'll be traveling and doing the tree climbing competition scene and climbing trees and helping set up, and
That's awesome.
you know.
Yeah. Anything you want to, because
I think I'm just because part of the podcast is also to try to make sure we can have a message that's for each part of the group, the beginners, the intermediate, and then experts, right? And then everything you said is beautiful. The big thing is which should be a recurring thing, is the mindset. And that you just said that, like you're in a transitory phase, but the mindset is you have to work on that, and that's no different than when you first got into the industry, right? Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
And then along the way, it's always been a work in progress, where the mindset, you get good at something, then there's a new phase, and then you have to adjust that. And if you don't adjust that, more likely than not, you can back me up, you'll have problems if you don't. Is that fair to say?
Oh, totally.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like you'll have, like if you don't adjust your mindset, you're gonna either get hurt, injured in the trees, you can have poor relationships with family members or coworkers. The mindset is the thing that gets you in trouble if you don't adjust it. And that's what I'm hearing from you at this point, which is still inspirational at the same time.
Absolutely.
So is that it?
Oh, and well, you all know, like, you know, it's an incredible walk, like this world, and, you know, but it's so dynamic. Look at our natural world, how dynamic it is. You look at our personal beings, our character, how dynamic. Things are laid upon our heart, and, you know, we respond. Lessons to be learned, and we respond. We, you know, inevitably it's our choice, but to continually choose a positive path and focus and rebuke, like, fears, doubts, and realize struggles are in place to spurn growth.
That's big.
And embrace that. Like, don't curse them. Like, acceptance, right? Happens. It's part of the, you know, every day I choose to start my day by meditating and releasing my ego. Take my ego out of the equation. And it's really empowering. In doing so, I refocus, recenter, and then move forward from there. So, but like I said, you know, I'm aging. Would I want to flip the clock back and go back 10 or 20 years? There, you know, it's a hard life, right, too.
Yes.
So I'd say not, because I like where I am.
That's awesome.
And I know, like, that that is growing in me.
Yeah, buddy.
You know, and that's you know, that's all due to my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, and you know, the wisdom in, you know, just trying to emulate his example and living and tuning in to his wisdom. And I don't take that. Everybody has a different path, you know. That works for me. That works for a lot of us. And you know, I guess circling back, we can be our best adversary or our worst foe. My wife tells a beautiful story. Let me just think. It's about an Indian and his son, an Indian father, and his son comes to him and he goes, "Father, I keep having these dreams, and I have a dream of a ravenous wolf that like continues to attack me, and I have on the flip side, I have this wolf that is like my best friend, and it's super supportive and strong." And he goes, which why is this, and how can I eliminate the evil one? And he says, "Well, son, that's your choice. It's what do you choose to feed?" So it's not a good. I hopefully you get the gist of it.
Totally get it. Yeah.
You know, you said it. You said it correctly.
Yeah. Yeah. No, 100%. And I'm glad you went there, because that was going to be my next question. Like, you know, your faith and whatnot, and what role that plays, you know, in your daily walk, you know, in business and life and connection. And I said a quote earlier that and I heard it, and it's like, you know, the whole thing about share your faith with people, and when necessary, use words. Meaning live it out, which when I have these interactions with you, like, and I'm just thinking about the last couple. One I mentioned before, which was setting up for the comp, and I saw you, big smile, hey, yeah, you know, and it's just this great joy. And then I saw you at the Pendel comp in the parking lot, like same thing. And it's that same level of, and I don't know what's going on in here, but there's always a welcoming, warm smile that actually just, I'm happy to see you, you know, kind of thing. And so when you think about carrying yourself with that, and being spirit led, right? The fruits of the spirit, right? Peace, pace, joy, kindness, you know, these type of things. It's, you know, not always easy, you know, the challenges come, and I think taking that moment to pause, I love how you're doing that, you know, in the morning. I can let the little things sometimes derail me. You know, I'll be out there processing wood, and you're throwing a piece, it goes sideways. You know, it's like,
totally.
like just the stupidest
We're human,
little,
man.
you know.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
so-
I can start. My mom used to call it spit and vinegar. Like start, you know, cursing up a storm over littlest thing, and it's like, man, give it up, you know.
Yeah.
Don't even go there. But I guess, you know, hey, with every character, you know, you have your you know, strengths and challenges. You know, I run intense, so like if I get angry, I can be intensely angry.
Yeah.
But I got to check myself and say, hey, man, you know, I don't want to rock my peace. Let's just let's chill out a little bit here. You know, it ain't that big a deal.
Yeah, exactly.
What I love about that is how it ties into your story with the wolves. It's like if I go down that road, if I'm in traffic and it starts to unwind in here, and I start with the, what the heck is your, Jesus, don't you know how? It doesn't, when I feed that wolf, it doesn't get better.
Oh, just
that wolf is insatiable.
Yeah.
Like
Oh,
you
totally.
feed it that, and
Totally.
it will devour you.
Yeah.
if, on the other hand, if you thwart those thoughts and you bring those thoughts captive, like the word says, right? Bring every thought captive, peace can come, right? But it takes choice and it takes a decision to do so, you know?
And a lot, you know, I find with my own self and my own character, it's self-control.
Oh.
You know, like self-control, like when you have to exercise denial or like immerse yourself in a discipline, say like training for a comp, you can, you know, that little voice in your head can play all kinds of like tricks on you. Oh, just do it. A little bit ain't gonna hurt you, or you know, you don't need to footlock practice today or what have you. And it's like, you know, no, like you claim hold of your thoughts and what they project, right? And I've come to learn increasingly so, like, tame the tongue. Don't say things you don't truly mean, because they will, you're manifesting. So speak truth, right?
Mm-hmm. Man, that was
a good one.
So big, dude. That's like, I think, because I'm not the scripture quote guy, but I think James 4 is where he talks about the tongue and how it's a fire that leads to hell. And, you know, he talks about the metaphor with the ship. You know, the ship is big, this huge vessel, but the rudder's small and it steers the whole thing.
No, it's a great parallel.
Yeah.
Sure.
So quick, and I want to honor your time. We said we'd wrap at noon. We got a few minutes left. Bert has an appointment, and he was kind enough to drive down, so we're going to honor that, and we're gonna wrap up here in a few minutes. But in terms of like just living, like I know, you know, being a believer, you know, we're trying to like live a certain way and everything. How about physically? Like, do you you know, do you discipline yourself with your sleep habits and your food intake, and you know, are you a drinker, smoker? Like, do you take care of your body in a specific way, or kind of like whatever comes down the line you put in your mouth? Like, I'm just curious. I'm always curious, because someone that's able to do what you're doing at your age, is it mostly genetics? Is it like, hey, Bert's taking care of himself? Like, how does?
Yeah, moderation. Yeah. Like, I'm not like overly like hung up on like a certain diet or regimented sleep.
Yep.
As I age, I tend to like need more rest, more recoup time. Yep. Mm-hmm. I'm big, you know, part of my morning routine is stretching.
Oh, good.
And remaining flexible. And I do, you know, core work and, you know, kind of keep it moving. Mm-hmm. Yeah, again, I try not to be excessive with anything. I try to eat healthy. You know, yeah.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. That's cool. I like to ask because different folks are on different wavelengths and different programs with things. And I think a lot of times, and myself, and I'm including myself in that, when I see a person that's, you know, in my age bracket or whatever, a couple years ahead of me, and I see someone that's physically able to do, I'm like, okay, what is that person doing? We asked Mark the same thing, you know, always, it's like, you know, what are we doing? What are we, you know, like what's happening, you know? And obviously you're lean and fit, so it's not like you're eating donuts every day, you know? No. Yeah.
But just to add, I will say, and maybe you can back me up, but that's one part. There's also the internal, and it sounds like you've always worked on the internal.
Oh, totally.
Because you're not like you'll get, everybody gets angry, but like you're not just a bitter person. You know what I mean? It's like, so it sounds like you always worked on the internal as well as being moderate on the external.
Oh, totally, right. Bert. Yeah, and you know, I think we're all like common in that. Like it's, you know. Yeah. Mind, soul, and body, right? I mean, like, you know, it's the whole package, and everything comes from within. So if we don't have it, we can't give it. If we want to give love, we got to have love. And, you know, like, I you know, I have a checkered past. I was a a juvenile delinquent and like incredibly, dysfunctional as a teenager, and no fault of anyone's. My parents. I had an incredible upbringing, but like that. I had to overcome and had to be able to forgive myself and move past that to actually, eventually liking myself, to loving myself, to realizing that I'm part of a much bigger
plan, like a whole
and I really, again, I find that my true fulfillment is found in Jesus Christ, and a daily prayer that I am the clay, he is the potter. Mold me and shape me, and little by little, we're like a boulder in the creek, like being transformed, and like you say, like bitter, you think about you encounter older people. You encounter older people with incredible youth, or you encounter older people that are bitter and angry and just, and I pity them.
Yes. Yeah. Wow.
Right? So.
Wow, that's
well said.
It is well said, and it's funny because lately I and I don't know, I'm talking to you or maybe it was Ben earlier, just trying to get back to that. I've always fancied myself like a not a jokester, but someone that wants to bring levity and little comedic relief.
Oh yeah, sure.
Sometimes, life can make people cynical, and I think going through some things, and I've just been really just trying to refocus on that. Like, what am I bringing to the table? What are my conversations like? What are my interactions with other human beings? Rather than jump to judgment about somebody who cannot drive, because I'm really the only one that can in the whole state of New Jersey.
Right.
Rather than jump to them, maybe they're dealing with some stuff. Look, maybe they're a stone cold moron. That's always a possibility, when you're driving rigs around, right? We could spend a whole podcast talking about that. But point being, I have some control there on how I think, feel, and act, right? So I love how you said that. So again, you got anything you want to?
No. I will say, I'll just being respectful of your time. But what I love about you, and there's multiple people, but there's an inspiration factor for me. And to kind of jump off what you said, I love that when you show up anywhere, you always treat people regardless of those differences that they might have. Does that make sense? It doesn't change at all. And then I always aspire to be that person as well. It's like any room I walk into, whether it's I believe with those people or I don't agree with them, I'm still going to show up as me, as the light that I can offer. And you do that. And for the listeners that are listening, thank you for listening all the way through. But
Amen.
That's the one thing about Bert that's always been consistent and it's been a pleasure to be around. So I appreciate you coming to the podcast and letting people know who you are.
Well, humbling, man. Very humbled by that. And I appreciate this opportunity, and I'm honored to be here. And because I know you guys are really digging deep and, doing a great thing with this podcast. And keep up the good work, man. And glad to be a part.
Right on. Yeah. Just, echo what Brick said. I've stated it before, but just kind of thanking you for being here. Again, it's no small task. Our lives are busy, and Brick and I talk about this all the time. Everybody's busy, but it's what do we prioritize? What do we make time for? Typically the things we value. And you've shown just by being here that you value these relationships. And really that's what this is about. We just hope listeners can tune in, and my hope is that they understand a little bit more about you and who you are, and they can, people can seek you out, and when they see you at a comp or see you at a function. And by the way, folks, New Jersey welcomes everybody, right? You come to our Garden State Tree Conference in, March, or you come to one of our climbing comps. Our work day is coming up in December. It's usually the first Saturday. Is that right? Somewhere in there? Get on the NJA ISA Instagram or web page or whatever. You want to come and hang out, man, just come to work day. It's a play date. It's a grown up play date is what it is. And I actually remember working with you and your guys. I don't remember the place, but it was this
Cross River Gardens up in Burnsville.
With the big, it had like a castle looking.
Yeah, big stone.
It's cool that
structure.
I didn't never thought in a million years he would remember. And he's like,
I remember
that's
that.
awesome.
Yeah.
So, guys, I mean, listen, these relationships are vital. Wherever you are in your corner of the world, take the time to have a conversation with somebody. Dig deep about things about trees and things like that. Lift each other up, but also be proud of what you do. It's an incredibly romantic and noble trade that we get to do. I mean, these relationships, these guys I know through this organization, which is nuts. And we're friends. Yeah. And some of the best friends in my life I made through tree work, which is odd. My wife thinks we're all crazy. She's like, nurses don't do that. What is wrong with you guys? I'm like, well, we're all nuts.
We're a different breed.
Different breed,
different breed.
Yep. Yeah.
So, but, thank you. Thanks to your family for sharing you with us. And man, I look forward to the next one of these that we have, and it'll just be without mics.
Yeah,
that's really it, So
cool.
God bless, and
Likewise.
Over and out.
Yeah.
That's it.